Pickaxe.
Hello and welcome to the podcast of this week's One Life Left radio show. I'm Simon Byron.
I am Steve Curran.
And we're joined by Noisy Head Games' Steve Hollis. Steve, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, that's all right. Sorry for the delayed response. I didn't thought we finished.
Well, you've been on the sort of publicity trail over recent weeks. You've done a few podcasts, haven't you?
I've done one more before this. Yes.
Oh, just one, is it?
My second rodeo. What was it? It was the Cane and Rinse podcast.
Okay, what was that like? What were they like?
The guy who was running it was really lovely, but I was really nervous, and I think I just waffled for about half an hour. Yeah, it was be a lot of word soup, I think.
Well, thank you for getting that out of your
podcast. That'll be out there as a good advertisement. It's okay, you can edit it.
How was that for you, though? How was One Life Left?
Oh, this podcast? Oh, this has been a treat. What we've been doing? What have we been doing? No, this has been an absolute treat, Simon.
This is this is the exclusive section of the show that our Pickaxe podcast subscribers get. This and some adverts. Some less appropriate than others. We had to put an official complaint into Pickaxe, and maybe that's why they've stopped supporting us across their social channels. Who knows? Fun show. Thank you. I'm reminded that I really should get more guests on because it's always better than when it's not just Steve and I.
Yeah, it was super, super fun. And I'm excited about the game as well, which I knew nothing about, mostly because I just ignore Simon's messages as established. Later.
I think you'll like it, Steve, because it does some things that I know you do like from games that you've played a lot of.
What are those things? This is more of a test about how much you know me. Like, that's why I'm asking.
Okay.
What do I like?
I've just censored my jokes. You like exploration.
I do.
You like occasional chaotic gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you like emergent moments on top of your sort of standard adventuring. So there are, it's funny, I was watching I forget who it was, one of the streams over the weekend, Steve, and he was determined to get to the third world, and you watch somebody play it and you can see into the future. I hope that he spots that, or that he doesn't, and this, that, and the other. And I was thinking of Steve during then, because it's got some elements you're going to like. But don't tell you what, Steve, don't you keep your hand out your pocket. We'll send you a code.
Well, you said Neuter earlier when we were chatting just before the show, and one of the things that I really like about Neuter, and actually the way I tend to play it now, is to do the thing that we'll talk about later in the show, which is breaking it. Like, I really enjoy the moments where the dice roll in your favour, and you get some spells for your wand that combined make the game ridiculously easy, at least on that run, until the moment that you overuse them or use them in a careless way, and then you end up losing the game, and then you've lost everything, but you've enjoyed that experience. And that's always what I've enjoyed about roguelikes. I think that's been present since the original Rogue, is you can get equipment that's enormously overpowered early on in the game, and you'll still fail the game because you get too comfortable. You're like, I am invincible, I'm a god. Oh, I've been killed by a bat because I didn't see it and I got paralyzed and it ate away at me for 1,000 turns. I think that a lot of modern roguelikes mistake the sort of thrill of roguelikes. They don't have that chaos. They manage it too carefully. So that's what's really excited me about your game. Not Simon's internal marketing, but your your speech about chaos.
We need to make sure that games aren't balanced anymore. It's basically
that should be the title of your GDC talk about this next year when you're a billionaire and they're courting you because you've just bought Angry Birds.
But yes, good fun show. I don't feel much in the way I need to apologise. I was a little bit mean, needlessly, about Cliff. I hope he doesn't listen in the same way that Jonathan Blow did.
But if he does listen, Cliff, please come on the show.
We need to meet you. I'm just judging some of the things I've seen on social media. That's all.
Perfect.
Good. Anything else to add? Or should we get on with the show?
Let's get on with the show.
Here's the show. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye. Hello. I always get that wrong.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to One Life Left live on Resonance 104.4 FM. We are a video game radio show, and my name is Steve Curran.
Hello, I am Simon Byron.
Hello, Simon. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm okay. It's been a while. It's been 2 weeks, like we speculated.
Happy Easter.
How was yours?
Were you good? Did the Easter Bunny? Did the Easter Bunny treat you well?
I had one egg.
Okay.
Is that good?
It's the same amount. I didn't actually get an egg. I got pieces, chocolate pieces. What does that mean?
Means that. Well, I tell you what. I don't know what's better or worse. You got one egg, but you got pieces of an egg. I got a discounted, half price egg after the sale, not on Easter Sunday. So, which one's better?
Well, mine wasn't pieces of an egg. It was just pieces of chocolate.
Oh,
yeah.
What? Okay.
They don't make them like they used to, do they? Easter eggs. You remember they used to be all sorts of exciting things contained within. Sometimes get a mug.
Yeah.
Cream egg. Yeah. And now it's just chocolate because health and safety's gone mad. Political. Is this why we left Europe, Steve?
Welcome to One Life Left. We're a political podcast. We just say what we feel. Just say what we feel. We don't do that. We do. We say what we feel, but about video games, loosely about video games. We'll be doing that for the next hour. Well, we like to get things off our chest in the first 5 minutes or so. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Simon?
Yeah, there is, Steve. Do you know how I knew that there wasn't a show last week? Because you didn't reply to my message.
I was out of office. What?
Guessing not. Then I said...
Which message?
Phil, well, I said, are we doing a show then? And Phil also messaged you, our producer messaged you to ask if there was a show, which you also ignored.
Where? Where was this?
On the Discord. In the Shed Discord. In our secrets.
Okay, let me have a look. Hold on. Open up the One Life Left Discord, which you, listeners, can and should access by looking at the show notes and clicking on the link or going to hello.onelifeleft.com. Okay. Secret folder called The Shed. I see a message from Phil saying, is there a show this week or our Resonance on an egg hunt? Well, the latter was true. I don't see a message from you, Simon.
I think I WhatsApped you.
Oh, I see. We're just going to go through all the forms of our communication. I can check that as well. Well, I'm sorry I didn't reply. But I was busy. I was on an egg hunt.
Yes, that's one way of putting it. Dexter would have put it a different way. Are we doing a show over the coronation weekend?
Good question.
Thank
I don't
you.
know. Should
and the
we?
First bank holiday and the last bank. There are 3 bank holidays coming up. I need to know.
I think we should broadcast live from the coronation.
Okay, let's give it a go. Live from the throne.
I always wondered how One Life Left was going to finish, but I wasn't. Treason wasn't on my list.
That's fine. I am actually going away that weekend, so that's me applying for holiday. Anyway, admin done. Surprisingly, Steve, it's not just me and you here this evening, is it?
What? I can't believe it.
For the first time in a while, we've got a super special guest, and he's a super special guest. He's a friend and colleague of mine, Steve Hollis from Noisy Head Games. Hello, Steve.
Hello. My egg had dinosaurs in it. It had really chunky chocolate dinosaurs in it. And it was a mix of milk and white chocolate.
You must have been a good boy last year. We need to sleep over at yours next Easter.
Unbelievable.
Well, the thing is, my partner is very susceptible to Instagram marketing. So we get all of the kind of the interesting things that come up on Instagram, and I think it was a £14 egg, which is a ludicrous amount, an absolutely ludicrous amount.
How long have you been with your partner?
About 7 years.
Okay, that's on the long side. I mean, it sounds like a new relationship, Steve. That's what I thought.
No, but I mean, I was impressed. I mean, it had dinosaurs in it, and that's pretty good. They were really chunky. Yeah. I felt very sick one sitting as well. It's difficult to leave any egg behind.
I am.
But yeah, hi.
I'm unbelievably impressed already. We haven't even got to the part of the show where we talk about why you're on the show beyond being Simon's colleague, and maybe Simon did his job for the show by by the water cooler. You fancy coming on the show? All right then.
We were chatting about
job done.
We were chatting about what just happened in Dallas over the weekend. It's a joke for you kids out there. No, Steve's on. So Steve's first game as an independent studio is out today, 17th of May, if you're listening live on Resonance FM. In fact, it's been out for 2 hours, hopefully.
You just gave me a heart attack.
Well, I guess if you listen to the podcast, then it's been out for a couple of days. What are you doing? Don't sit on it. It's available now with a 20% launch discount, hopefully. So it's called Beyond the Long Night. It's available on PC and Mac from the 17th of April, and we'll be talking to Steve about him, his company, and the game shortly.
Well, that's super exciting. Before then, though, Simon, as prepared by you and delivered by the third member of the One Life Left team, it's time for the news.
Video game news. Me, Charlesbot 1.0.
Seamless.
I've just been informed that Sega Sammy Holdings could acquire Rovio Entertainment, the developer behind the hit game Angry Birds, in a deal reportedly worth around $1 billion. This is great news, and past experiences suggest that the deal could be done in a matter of days, making me not so angry birds.
So, Steve, that was the news as reported on videogameschronicle.com, seemingly authored by our news bot, as Jeff Bezos. I couldn't think of anybody else. So I just said close with a joke, which I think our AI did. But this is the somewhat surprising news that Sega is apparently about to acquire Rovio.
This was surprising. It was surprising in that kind of draw two company names from a hat kind of way, and a figure of $1 billion, which it must be. When I heard this news, I think I've never been involved in the high number world of business doing these kinds of transactions, but it must be hard to deliver that kind of offer with a straight face.
Yeah, how much would you like? $1 billion. How much? billion.
It's very round.
Yeah, do you think you're tempted into justify going? Yeah, we're actually
how much have we got?
997,800,002 or something. Just round it up.
And loads of copies of our forthcoming mega game.
Oh yeah, is this the mega game?
Could be the mega game.
Is this the twist? The mega game was in front of us all along. Good news or bad news for Sega? Do you think this, Simon?
I really don't know. I mean, what? If you were going to buy Rovio, you would have bought them when they were more popular than now. Oh, maybe that's why they're buying them now, because $1 billion's actually cheap. Is it? I don't know.
I've no idea. Maybe they just want a Angry Birds movie, Sonic the Hedgehog crossover.
I mean, that's the assumption, isn't it?
Build the
Who was
Sega.
asking for that? I would like to find that person and have a quiet word. Steve, you're about to publish your first game tomorrow. Do you want to set a price that you would take off Sega now, so that we could just get that out of the way?
I'm quite a simple man. Really, like. I don't know. Like, how much do you think it would cost?
Your options are limited.
You've got this wrong. You've got this wrong. A billion. They like billion.
Clearly, they like round numbers, right?
Well,
and at that point, you're either going for $1 million or $1 billion, or 100,000 or a pound.
I'm just trying to blue sky think of like how if I was to say that I'm quite partial to those cheesy twist things that you get in Tesco. And just like the standard ones, not the Tesco finest, like just the bog standard, Bob's your uncle, this is a good cheese twist. How much do you think it would cost to get like a packet of them a day for like, I don't know when I'm going to die, but let's just give it another 50 years or something like that. Let's say that. What kind of number does that come out to?
Okay, so 50 times 350-ish days. Do you want on weekends as well?
Please, yeah.
Okay.
Mostly on weekends.
So 50 times 350, what's that, Simon? 17,000-ish? 17,000. And how much is a cheesy twist? A quid?
It's about 80p.
Okay, so you're talking about, I reckon, about £14,000, but they like round numbers.
They do like round numbers. And have we accounted for inflation as well?
Yeah, exactly. 100,000. That's what you're going for.
I can contribute to this conversation. My daughter loves a cheese straw from the local bakers where I live.
Yeah.
Right. That they used to be 75p for one, or something like £1. It might be £1.80 for three. They've gone up to £1.25 each, guys.
How much for three?
I haven't asked. I was too busy falling off my chair that I'd brought into the shop.
All right, news story 2.
The Super Mario Bros. Movie has become a blockbuster success at the box office, breaking records to become the highest-grossing video game adaptation of all time. It has earned over $508.7 million worldwide, leading to actor Chris Pratt suggesting it could be part of a long-term project with multiple films. The movie has divided viewers, with critics giving it a 58% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and fans loving it with a score of 96%. With a post-credits scene hinting at a sequel, the Super Mario Bros. Movie is sure to be a blue shell for VGC's critic and all the fans of the movie.
What I liked about, or what I like about our AI newsreader is that it's, so we have replaced Anne, who used to write who was a human who used to write so it is a human who writes the news. But often you could tell at the moment during the story where she just got a bit bored and wanted just to end it. And that is what I think our newsbot did there. I did ask him to explain what a blue shell does for the writer of the Mario movie, was my request. To end the story, and I guess that's its attempt.
Have you seen the movie, Simon?
I'm fresh from the cinema, Steve.
Did you see the movie?
I saw it today.
Okay, I have not seen it yet. I would say that the reports I've heard, again, from my friends have been mixed. So, my advice to you would be to take your chair into the cinema, because you were going to fall off it yourself. There are a couple of bits. I'm not going to spoil the film. Steve, have you seen it?
I have not seen it.
Okay, so I'm not going to spoil it for you, apart from a couple of inconsistencies with the Mario lore, which did make me very angry, and the very, very lazy way that they chuck in what I suppose they think are Easter eggs, but actually are probably the laziest examples I've ever seen of that sort of thing. Do you remember, Steve, when we pioneered video game karaoke?
Yeah, I believe that you are not going to spoil a thing that has already been spoiled for me. is it use of a licensed song during a particular point in the movie?
A license? Well, sorry, an actual song.
Yeah, a song that exists, as in licensing. Is it the Donkey Kong song?
No, it's not. Well, sorry, that is one of them. But
Okay.
the other one, the one I thought you were going to mention.
Well,
was the other one.
I'll explain to the listeners the one that I know about, at least. Regular listeners to the show will know that we, One Life Left, do a thing called Maraoke, which Simon invented. I thought was a terrible idea, and has since become a worldwide phenomenon. Indeed, it is the most successful video game karaoke night that we're aware of, where all of our songs have been rewritten.
It's not up to us to do the research, is it?
No, no. You care enough about that? Go away, find out, let us know. Which is exactly what happened when we kept calling ourselves the longest running radio show about video games. We do this thing. We've got 500 songs that have been rewritten about video games, and we don't typically talk about what they are. We don't spoil the jokes before people go and sing them. However, there's one that I believe you wrote, Simon.
It is. I did write that one.
And that was to Aha's Take On Me. And how did you rewrite that?
The chorus goes, "Hey donkey."
Writes itself.
It's brilliant.
Writes itself.
I know.
At that point, it's
with my help.
It's a piece about Donkey Kong. Now, you wrote that a long time ago, didn't you?
I wrote it, presumably, when they were storyboarding the music and choosing the songs to go with it.
Well, I was going to say, we have done gigs or gig in LA. We've been out there. We've been to the Americas. You know, we're, the most popular, most established video game karaoke night that we're aware of. It's not improbable that someone who worked on that movie has attended Maraoke.
Well, so the reason I think they're deliberately trolling us is that we, slightly changed the name of Maraoke as it's known now, and we changed it just because we felt like it, not because we were worried from an intellectual property point of view. Absolutely not. But it feels like they are deliberately trolling us because not only is Take On Me playing during the Donkey Kong introduction sequence, when Mario starts doing his bits, do you know what they play?
No.
Holding out for a hero.
Holding out for Mario?
We need Mario. Yes,
What?
as a Maraoke. And it's annoying because you're sat there going, and I couldn't concentrate on either of these sections because I was waiting to see if they'd changed the lyrics because it cannot be a coincidence.
It literally could. That's what a coincidence is. Is what friend of the show David McCarthy said to me when I saw a character in World of Warcraft called Curran Steele and said, that can't be a coincidence. He said, it literally could. Well, Simon, have we talked about this on the show, about the Jack Black's appearance on Kelly Clarkson's daytime show?
We haven't talked about it on the show. You sent me a very angry message.
Where Kelly Clarkson ran a feature which was to promote the Mario movie called One Life Left.
It's unbelievable.
What is going on?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Skip the next story. It's boring.
Well, no. I'm not going to do that. I want to know what you thought of the movie beyond the.
I think so. I don't want to ruin anybody's enthusiasm for something that they like. It's a film I'm glad I've seen, but I wish I didn't have to have watched it.
Perfect. Story 4.
Cliff Bleszinski, the designer of a game called Lawbreakers, recently tweeted that he got a text from his lawyer about the game and asked his fans to stay tuned. Lawbreakers shut down 1 year after its release due to low player count, but now there seems to be a lot of support for it. Cliff said people were rooting for the game to fail, and he had to deal with a year of depression out of guilt. Lawbreakers couldn't transition to free-to-play and eventually took offline in September 2018.
So didn't he say he was getting out of the video game business and going to do something else? It was the last I heard of him via One Life Left.
Yeah, I mean, what annoys me about this is that, there was only so much news that the video games journalists have time to write. And what you have is someone tweeting about a game that no one cared about in the first place, and everybody's writing news stories about it again. And then it's also on One Life Left. I did I did ask our news bot to pretend to be a child and to pretend not to know who Cliff Blazinski is.
Right.
They did by going, someone called Cliff Blazinski.
Steve, have you played Lawbreakers?
I don't even know what Lawbreakers is. Is that terrible?
It's not terrible. No. I don't know whether the game is terrible or not because I haven't played it either, and I assume Simon hasn't played it.
Of course, I haven't.
You're the most. I think of us, you're the most likely to have played it. You like your shooty games sometimes.
I do. I don't like Cliff Blazinski though.
Hello. Why is that?
Sorry, I don't know. Sorry, I don't know the man. I've never met the man, but he's just a bit gobby, isn't he?
Well, I met him once.
Okay, how was he?
Well, it was the time that I was with a mutual friend of ours who we were at a Microsoft party in, I don't know, 15 years ago or maybe a bit less than that. And the mutual friend is someone who's very, very important in the world of first-person shooters. And Cliff Blazinski was very excited to meet this mutual friend. And this mutual friend was not impressed with Cliff Blazinski. He was a bit rude to him.
Ooh, so there's somebody who actually doesn't like him, who has met him and doesn't like him.
He was very nonplussed.
Okay.
When he met him. Walked away. And actually, Mr. Blazinski made our mutual friend so angry that our mutual friend decided to smoke. Didn't even smoke. He actually decided to smoke because there was a poster. There was a sign at this Microsoft party that said no smoking, and he didn't like Microsoft either. He said, "Microsoft don't tell me what to do," and started to smoke. I don't know where he got a cigarette from. Well, very confusing.
The irony is, though, of course, is that actually Microsoft do tell him what to do now, don't they?
That is the irony. All right, news story 5.
As an elf, I am excited for the upcoming release of The Lord of the Rings, Gollum, which will allow us all to experience Middle-earth in an exciting new way. To make sure hardcore fans can truly immerse themselves, Daedalic has offered a precious edition with enhanced Elvish voice acting. For Elvish fans, I say nam heriamole enunion. Good luck in your adventures.
Hello?
Hello, our AI is an elf.
So is that all you told it? So there are, as we've talked about on the show, there are, what would you call them? Like, you can tell the AI what to do in our AI bot generation thing. You can say, be an elf. And I assume that was your instruction.
Yeah, write it as an elf, but then sign off by saying something. I told it to say something in Elvish, but don't charge for it because Daedalic are charging for you. He hasn't charged, and he has said something in Elvish.
What did he say?
Do
you have any ideas? Okay.
Yeah. He explains what it is at the end of it. I forget what it is. It's like have fun on your adventures.
Oh, nice.
Something like that. So yes, this is the news that Daedalic's forthcoming Lord of the Rings Gollum is charging for you to hear its elves speak in authentic Elvish. Arguably the nerdist story we've had on the show ever. That's going to be a difficult financial transaction to justify to a partner, isn't it?
Do you think this is a smart decision, Simon?
No.
Well, okay. Why?
Because if you're charging £42.99 stroke $49.99 for the standard edition, you shouldn't wrap this extra bits like this in a collector's edition, which is going to cost £10 more to hear your characters talk Elvish.
Okay, that's not what I asked, right? Because obviously you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do a lot of things that people do in video games. The game that I reviewed, I'm going to review later in the show, also does something like this. And I think it's increasingly common practice to have bits of the game that, you could describe as optional, but actually the people who buy the game definitely want them. Now, what I mean is it a smart decision on behalf of the publisher to cater to say, okay, we're going to really milk the hardcore audience, the hardcore sort of narrative people who really want the full experience? Because this is, you don't need it for the full gameplay experience, right? It's not going to affect your gameplay, but it will affect the tone. Is that the right audience to try and gouge if you are that kind of publisher?
That's a tricky question to answer, Steve, isn't it? You're asking me to role play as an evil publisher.
I know.
During my
you don't have it in you.
Nothing but often described as too nice. It's a role I can't play. Steve, how much of Beyond the Long Night are you locking behind a paywall?
Well, I guess all of it. Technically.
Anyway, that makes you the worst of all of us. Yeah.
It is all paid for.
Very good.
But all paid for in one go, I think, as things should be.
Okay,
Does that lock us out of any future things, Simon? Have I shot us in the foot?
Oh, listen, you can do whatever you want these days. I believe Neil Druckmann when he told me that The Last of Us was going to be Steam Deck verified on Twitter. Is there any legal recourse from somebody saying that's because apparently he's forgotten about it? That's too late for me, isn't it, when I bought it from a key site and I can't get a refund?
All right. Thanks, Simon, and thanks, Charlesbot.
One Life Left video game news with
me, Charlesbot 1.0.
You're listening to One Life Left on Resonance 104.4 FM. We're a video game radio show. We broadcast from London and the surrounding areas generally. If you want to listen to us as a podcast, you can listen to that at www.onelifeleft.com. The podcast is edited and produced by our under caretaker, Phil. He also writes the show notes. And there you can find links to, well, everything we talk about on the show, including the One Life Left Discord, where we gather to chat about video games and what we've been up to this week. And apparently where I miss messages, important admin messages. Sorry about that, Simon.
No problem, Steve. It has been noted.
Mm-hmm. Go on my yearly review.
But you need three informal failings, shall we say, for it to be raised.
God, I don't want to be put on a performance improvement plan.
Okay.
There's no hope.
Then just answer your messages.
Okay, promise. I will.
Steve, welcome. Nice to see you. It's odd for us to be chatting like this over a weekend, isn't it? Although we have been, because it's busy time at the moment, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Tell us about you, first of all, and Noisy Head Games. What's your background?
Well, I am a man. I come from the Hope Valley originally, up in the Peak District, which is where I entered this world, and then I now live in Cambridge. Shall we do some more relevant information, I guess? So I've been in the games industry about 7 years or something like that now. Not quite long enough to be called a veteran, I don't think, but we're getting there.
That's 8 years.
Is it? Is that the cutoff?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Oh, I can get that badge soon. I used to work in AAA as a game audio programmer, where I worked at a little company called Frontier for about 5 years or something. And my background is kind of music, audio programming, and a little bit of sound design, although I wasn't a very good sound designer. So I kind of stuck to the programming and the music stuff. And about 3 years ago, I left the nest and started up Noisy Head Games, which is a tiny little studio here in Cambridge. Call it a studio. It's basically this room that I'm sat in right now with me, and there are two other guys that I work with, Ross and Pablo, who are both sound designers. So we are very, very game audio heavy as a team. We probably should have hired some other disciplines, but audio was all we needed. Ross and Pablo are both sound designers. They both work in the day on proper jobs as well, but we've been making a little game called Beyond the Long Night for the last 3 years.
So where did the inspiration for the game come from, and was it because of that you chose to leave? It was a game that you had to make, or
yeah, I mean, so I'd been like tinkering around in Unity for like a good number of years before leaving, and I think the core concept of Beyond the Long Night has stayed the same, but it was very different in my head when I left Frontier. It was going to be underwater for a start and be like a completely different setting, and then I think the way it changed is I tried to draw that because I wasn't an artist, and I realized I couldn't really do what I wanted to do for the original, so I kind of simplified to an art style that I could kind of work on. But yeah, I mean, like just to kind of introduce the game a little bit, it's a charming twin stick action roguelike adventure where you fly through caverns and caves through the power of balloon flight. And it's one of these games where when you die, you go all the way back to the start and you have to start again from afresh. But you can build your character as you go up with lots of different upgrades and all that good stuff. And there's chaotic combat. There's a lot of bee murder in particular in the game, and other kind of insects and horrible monsters that you have to shoot your way through. But kind of the core thing that I started with was I wanted to make a roguelike where you could progress along like a wider objective path between each run. Because I played a lot of games or a lot of roguelikes where kind of the only goal in the game was to get to the end of a run and then repeat. And you just keep on doing that and you see more like upgrades and you unlock more kind of game modes and characters and stuff like that. And I'm a bit of a sucker for exploration games, and I kind of wanted one game that I played just before like leaving was The Outer Wilds. And I'm a bit of a sucker for that kind of game where it repeats, but you're kind of making little bits of progress each time you go in. And I kind of wanted to explore that idea in a roguelike format. So Beyond the Long Night is very much an onion kind of game. On kind of like the surface level, it's this action roguelike thing, and you can play it entirely like that, go through the game, go through a run and kind of build up your character, get to the end and repeat. But there's lots of little characters that you meet, and those characters will remember you between each run. They have these little storylines that you can progress as you play. So the next time you go in, you will always have made a little bit of progress. And they, like, all of the important stuff that they kind of hint at goes into a journal, which you can kind of inspect and make connections in and discover some pretty funky stuff as you go. And yeah, the longer you go, you kind of piece everything together. There's like an overarching puzzle for you to solve, and that all leads to the game's true ending.
True ending.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about how you can vary your build and what you've deliberately done there in terms of sort of letting people have freedom to sort of do crazy things.
Yeah. So I mean, there's basically no limits enforced on the game. So every upgrade that you find is infinitely stackable. So if you find 50 movement speed upgrades throughout a run, you're going to move 50 times faster than you did at the start. That's probably a terrible thing. That's not going to end well, but there's nothing in the game that kind of like stops you from doing that. So every single upgrade has been designed to make it so you can just keep adding more and more of them on top of each other.
Okay, like so that sounds to me like a decision that you make early on in the project and is cool, and it's like one of those things that you almost tattoo on the game, and it's like, we're going to make it so because people love that, and then it sounds like a massive headache as you proceed through, like, and you go, oh god, I wish I hadn't pledged to do this.
I mean, I kind of love it because like I one of the best things on roguelikes is when you end up with a build which is just so mad and out there that it's just like, this is just stupid. And there is definitely that space in the game for that. It did mean like there's some upgrades which have been annoying to implement, because it's just like, oh, I want to add in this effect, but you can't really stack it. It's kind of just like a one-time effect. So I had to think of ways to like, okay, let's add like a secondary effect to that does stack when you add it on. So like there's one called Spirit Dodge, which allows you to kind of dodge through enemies, and the way we stack that is it also does damage, and the damage increases each time.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, it just sounds to me like one of those, like there's that line right between players love to break a game, like and feel like they're breaking a game and getting one over on the designer, but also they hate it when a game breaks. And so treading that line sounds like a design nightmare, but an incredible thing if you manage to make it work.
Well, and we are, as we record, we're a day away from launch, and we're sort of just getting it into the hands of people now. I'm sure you, like me, have been watching the streams over the last few days. How's that been? Because I sit there and watch it, and obviously I'm involved in a very small way in the game at the moment. But you, as the designer, the creator, what's it like watching people play the game on stream for the first time?
It's always terrifying at the start, like because you just don't know how someone's going to react to it, and there is, as I say, like there's some funky stuff in there which could go both ways and stuff. But yeah, I think there have been some particular like playthroughs which have just been like just really motivating to watch. I think as a designer, when you watch someone like who you can tell is having like genuine fun and kind of exploring and kind of discovering things about the world. There was one playthrough by one YouTuber called Alexa in particular where like a lot of the puzzles in the game are like given to you out of order. So there's always a room that will teach you how something works, but you might find that 3 or 4 runs in, and you might have found one which you don't know the mechanic yet a few runs earlier. And they kind of found these rooms in the perfect order, where they sort of like found one and they were just like, I don't know what this is. And then like a few minutes later, they were like, I can see this is the one that's teaching. And it was just like, yes, it's worked. But yeah, it's surreal. It's very surreal.
You've been making the game along with your Kickstarter backers as well, have been providing input and stuff like that. So I guess in that sense, getting it into the hands of people and responding to their playback, to their feedback has helped shape it. So I suppose you have to have sort of some confidence there that it is good, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'd hope so at the moment, but there's always like you can never tell until like it goes out, and then like I don't think I'll even believe anyone when they say it's good like after that, because I don't know, I'm not that kind of person. Like just be like, I know all the bugs. Like, I know where we can improve, and there's still like so much that I kind of want to add to it from now. But I think a friend said to me like, nobody knows like what's missing when it goes out. Like it is kind of a finished thing to people. So and
so when you left Frontier to do this, how is it like this moment now? This is why you left. How does it compare to how you imagined?
I mean, as I said, the game was very different, like in terms of like the setting and stuff. But I think in the last 6 months or something, we've really kind of honed down into like what I wanted the game to be like. So for the first like year and a half of development, a lot of that was just on making the roguelike mechanics work, and not a lot of the kind of puzzle sections were in, and not a lot of the kind of overarching progression was in. And it was got to a point where it's like, I don't even know if this is the same game that I was trying to make at the start. But now that everything is in, it's like, that's actually quite cool. I did a run playing the game the other day where I just went through and I just completed the kind of the progression all in one run. Kind of got all the way up to the true ending on the first thing, and it was just really cool. Like I've not had a cooler experience in the game just doing that and just beating it in the first run. And I just like, okay, yeah, I'm very happy with where we are on that front.
But what I mean is when you're at AAA, you're working with a load of people, right? And you're all working on. There are lots of you working on one title that might be a launch, it might be an update, might be some DLC or what have you. And there's this real sort of shared workload. And sort of you now having left that environment. Where it's it's all going through you. I mean, how has it been sort of stepping out of that where you're in a sense protected because there's so many people, and now this is your game. I mean, how does that feel? Has it been?
Yeah, I think I can remember thinking about this when I was at Frontier, and thinking, because we'd done several launches, and some of the games that we worked on, generally we had really good feedback, but there was also members of the community who'd had issues with some of the games that we worked on, and it was very easy to kind of deal with that kind of feedback, because you're just we're part of a collective, as a group you kind of get through that and it's all fine. And I thought I've got really thick skin kind of going into doing it solo, but I didn't realize how much it would mean when you get to and it is, it is just your own thing and you can't I guess hide behind other people. It's just no, if I've screwed up, it's me. So yeah, I think it's definitely a bit spookier in that sense.
Sort of famously, Bossa were really supportive of Mike Bithell when he left. How have Frontier been, or your old colleagues?
Great, yeah. The audio team at Frontier is a particular unit, a particular very large one, as that a stupidly large audio team of 40 people now, which is bonkers. But we still meet up and stuff like that, and they've been incredibly supportive over the years, always. When I asked my boss, told him the reasons why I was going to leave, he was just yeah, that's what you need to do. He didn't try to pull me back or berate me and say that's really dumb, what are you doing? It was just yeah, no, that's good. So yeah, they've been great all the way through.
Great. Well, listen, best of luck tomorrow, a couple of hours ago when the game launched.
Is it out now?
It's now? By the
I'm still working on it.
The radio show goes out tomorrow at 7:00. Would have been out for 2 hours.
Okay, cool.
I will have had a few cans in front of me. Here's how I launch a game.
Who's going to push the button?
Well, usually it's Isaac, but I'm happy. I mean, yeah. So we're on Steam, we're on Itch tomorrow as well. Really looking forward to getting out there. It's a game that everybody at Yogscast fell in love with when we first came across it. So yeah, it's been brilliant. I'm really, really excited about getting it out there. So congratulations for a couple of hours ago.
Thank you.
You're a billionaire. You can buy Rovio.
Am I? Oh,
Exactly.
I can buy Angry Birds.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, it's time for the letters.
Email, messages, and forward BCC. One Life letters.
I've got one letter in front of me which just arrived from Chris Conroy. Do you have anything else, Simon?
No, I've got that as well.
Okay, I will read this. Dear team and SSG, apologies for the lack of letters recently. I've been on a family holiday to Disney World, Florida, a holiday so all-consuming that I've barely had the time to keep up with the show, let alone put digital pen to virtual paper. But the threat of an AI-generated letter has triggered this hastily assembled list of observations while in transit back to the UK. So, observation 1. The quality of in-flight games has gone up massively with a few little neat touchscreen games on the Virgin Atlantic system, including a nice block breaker that kept us entertained longer than it should. 2. So many gamey rides and attractions in Disney, one favourite being a Toy Story ride that included a shooting gallery element and mobile AR games around the parks. Point 3. Touchscreen quiz games in Uber cars. Point 4. Presented with an Xbox 360 and an N64 in the holiday home, my kids defaulted to Subway Surfer on the mobile. but the speed at which they picked up the controls from Mario 64 when I eventually coaxed them to the Nintendo is still an incredible testament to the controller design. And the fact that the N64 had more of a draw over the 360, the immediacy of the cartridge system had a lot to do with this, I think. So, maybe a question to finish. How do you find family holidays now from a video game perspective? Are they an integral and planned part, or do you try and steer away? You're too jet-lagged for alternative wordplay correspondent, Chris Conroy.
Chris, have you met my babysitter, video games? I find them very handy to keep my daughter and, but before that, my son. Certainly when the Switch arrived, that coincided with me and Dexter and my wife going to Canada. And honestly, whereas previously any situation that involved queuing would have been a nightmare dealing with a 5 or 6 no, he wasn't quite that young. 7 or 8 year old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, however, he's a man now. Would have been a nightmare, but it just kept him absolutely entertained. We played Arms on the plane. He was playing Zelda at the time, so that was great. And my daughter, at the moment, she is 5. She will enjoy the curated selection of games on her Fire tablet, which she finds great. Puzzles, words, numbers, all that sort of stuff. We have, we're not on holiday, but we did take with us the Switch for Mario Kart, which we've been enjoying today. So, yeah, and I think that, despite me being a little bit grumpy about the content of the Mario movie, what I really did like was seeing various generations all just sitting down and loving video games. So, they are hugely important in our family holidays, and nice to see everybody else enjoying them too.
Yeah, we're at the start of that journey, but my daughter, who is 4 now, if there is ever a situation where it is tricky to motivate her to, go in a car or get on the tube or whatever, if she is offered the chance to play on a word or puzzle game on my partner's mobile phone, she will suddenly go, yep, okay, I'm in. So yeah, very, very useful, very, very powerful, but I guess you have to use it in the right way.
Thank you, video games. And they're not charging £10 an hour, are they, like actual babysitters?
All right.
Well, I was just going to check. Steve, you haven't got any kids, have you?
None whatsoever.
So are you? Is it like a busman's holiday? Do you take video games on holiday, or do you book things?
I used to do a lot of Pokemon Go, like around new areas and stuff. They kind of like scope them out a little bit. But Pokemon Go's kind of changed over the years. Used to find lots of different Pokemon wherever you went. I can remember York was just full of Drowsies. There was nothing else in York other than Drowsies just around every corner, but it's just all the same Pokemon everywhere. So, disappointing.
Well, that review is good enough to take us close to the review section now. That was the letters part. If you have a letter for One Life Left, please send us letters. You can do so by emailing
team@onelifeleft.com.
You're listening to One Life Left on Resonance 104.4 FM, or perhaps you are listening on our podcast available at www.onelifeleft.com. Simon, before we get to the review section, I do have some any other business to deal with.
Is there a show on Easter Monday?
It's not that. I pre-ordered Zelda the other day, but while I was doing that, I thought I should be asking Simon what to do here, because you have pre-ordered it 3 times. I can always cancel my pre-order and go somewhere else. Do you have any recommendations? Oh, wow. Sorry, twice. Do you have any recommendations of where to order that game?
Wherever's cheapest at the time. Dexter's, which we pre-ordered at Christmas, was the game collection, and mine recently was from shop2.com.
Okay, perfect. Because I know that sometimes there are all kinds of gifts and weird things. And
yeah, if you want to pay £59.99 for a game and a keyring, Steve, by all means, you with your billions. But if you just want the game, £42.99 is what I got it for from Shop2.
Okay. We'll be cancelling my order, which was for $59.99 without a keyring.
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Was it? Where from? From Amazon?
That was from Amazon, yeah. From Amazon. Cool. Thank you for that advice. Time for the reviews?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Simon, I am pleased to announce that the 2 weeks off we've had has given me time to play some games. So I have stuff to review. What do you have to review?
I've got so much.
Okay.
So much, Steve.
Right, it's not a competition.
Well, let's see. Let's count them. As you know, I successfully completed Far Cry 5, which I thoroughly enjoyed. There was some moaning on the internet about the ending, but I thought it was absolutely fine. Very enjoyable, 7 out of 10. And then, and I haven't been like this for a while, but I struggled to find a home for what to do next. I'd had so much sort of build up that I was A, paralysed by choice, and then B, I couldn't really get into much. I did enjoy the sequel to Formula Retro Racing. Formula Retro Racing World Tour has just come into early access, and that's the old school sort of Virtua Racing style game that's got a new class of cars, new tracks. It's in early access, where I don't think the first one was, so it's unfinished yet. But what is there right now is as playable as before, just a lot more of it. Thoroughly enjoyable racing game that I'm looking forward to continue to play as they head towards 1.0. I'm playing it on the Steam Deck, and it runs brilliantly, so thoroughly recommended. Now comes with, as I say, different class, different damage, all that sort of stuff. Who wants to go next? Steve, do you want to do one?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've been playing the fishing game, as I think a lot of people have been playing the fishing game. So Dredge is what we've been playing in the evenings. Kind of cosmic horror fishing game. You get fish, you buy fish, you sell the fish, you get upgrades to get more fish, and then at some point a horrible monster comes and eats you. So it's very good. 7 out of 10.
So, I have also been playing the fishing game.
I've been playing the fishing game as well.
Fantastic. So let me go next. My synopsis would be the same as Steve's, but I think delivered in a slightly more tired way. Like I think it's a beautifully made game. Like, and it's clear everybody involved in the game can do their jobs fabulously well. I also love the setup. Like, everyone loves fishing mechanics. Everyone loves the kind of like short mini games or micro games that like let you catch fish in other bigger games. And this essentially is a big game made of those micro games. There are several different ways you catch fish, and you get in this loop where you go out, fish, upgrade your ship, go out and fish some more. Maybe you'll see some little missions. A man will say, "I want this type of fish," and that will happen 3 times, and then you'll complete a zone of the map, and that'll unlock another zone of the map, which is basically the same as the last zone, but with different missions and a different man saying 3 different fish and that kind of thing. And when I felt that loop repeat, I immediately lost interest in the bigger picture of the game because I'd already played that. And that's kind of my problem with most video games, is that they are padded out to the length of 3 or 4 times they need to be, because that's how long games need to be, because that's how long games are. And it frustrates me because I would love Dredge if it was an hour and a half. And I got to sink into that world, play, fish, get scared, come back. Maybe a little longer than that, I don't know. But something that allows me to take away that experience. Instead, what I take away is that kind of begrudging, oh, right, I get it, I see the patterns, and I have to do this 4 more times and play it for 10 hours or whatever it's going to be before I get that sense of resolution. So I love so much about it, but left it bored, and that doesn't seem fair on the game. 7 out of 10.
How far did you get, Steve?
I basically cleaned out the first sort of zone, moved on to the second sort of zone, and felt it repeat. And then by that time, my ship was really fast because that's what I concentrated on. So zoomed around the other islands as well, and felt the tone of all of the missions there in the volcanic place and the other one that's similar. I forgot what that is. I just sort of checked out mentally.
I feel exactly the same, having just got to the 4th area out of what I think are 5. I was really enjoying it, and I was just thinking about how clever it is, how many different bits and bobs are going on at the same time. And then the fourth area is like a swampy one where it's slightly, and like you, I'd concentrated on speed. We're not idiots, are we? I've got two turbo things on the back of my boat and a big 4x4 grid engine all over the place. The fourth area is a bit sort of swampy, and if you just graze the side, it can take out one of your engines. And yes, you can. It gives you sort of fast travel at a certain point, but the penalty for a brush with something on the side is so harsh. I'm like, oh, well, I need to literally, and I mean not literally because boats don't have legs, but sort of limp back to somewhere else where I can get it fixed and then carry on doing what I was doing before I accidentally brushed a dock.
And that happened to me once, and that was the most memorable moment of the game, right? I brushed something, ended up stranded in this big sea, knew there were horrible things out there, could see lights over there, didn't know whether it was a mirage, weird things were happening. I loved it. But I don't love the idea of that happening 10 more times and every time having to repeat that same loop. So, yeah, games.
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Still, it's done very well, hasn't it?
It has. I also played Storyteller by my personal game design hero, Daniel Ben McGooey. And I thought it was absolutely brilliant. It's a game where you make essentially 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 panel strips out of cartoon characters and situations that you drag into there and tell a story, which might be the story of Romeo and Juliet. But the order in which you paste them into the panels or drag situations, it changes the outcome. It's brilliant and it's playful, and it's over in an hour and a half, and it has very mixed reviews on Steam because of that. Because the general tone of the reviews section, and it makes me so angry, is, I love this game, it was so charming, so wonderful, I really enjoyed, but it's only 90 minutes long, so I refunded it. It's 12 quid. Yeah. Like, where else are you going to get something that moves you and charms you and you find interesting and you love for 12 quid? And yet you still behave like that.
Mr. Moneybags.
It's 12 quid, Simon. Like, I was so cross. And I would far rather have something tight and brilliant and beautiful that leaves me with that feeling than something like Dredge, which for me, it contains exactly that kind of amount of creative energy, but is drawn out just because it has to be drawn out.
I agree with you, but as somebody who has published a short game, the thing I don't think that Storyteller did was tell people how long it was going to be, which is absolutely what you need to. It doesn't say it anywhere on the store page at all. It doesn't say this is a short game. Otherwise, I would agree with you. But I sort of look at it and go, it doesn't say this anywhere. And when you're on, Steam is such a consumer-friendly store that people can, buy something and refund it at their whim.
I get it. I get it, and that's reviewing the marketing or the messaging around it. But I'm reviewing the Steam reviews here, and I can't deal with people saying this is like this. I love this. It was so moving, but it's not 8 hours long. So
I agree. Yeah. But it's just just be a bit clearer on the store, guys. And then that say, the game I'm talking about, Trolley Problem, is a game you can finish in an hour and a half. We told people that, and it even asks you not to refund it during the game, and still 16.4% of players did. So there you go.
7 out of 10. Done. That was a good review section. I enjoyed that.
I've got loads more stick because I've been bouncing all over the place.
Save them for
boom, boom.
Save them for next week because I've got more stuff to say as well about things. But I'm glad I got that off my chest about both of those games because I do feel strongly about them both.
Yes, I mean it's a shame. I did read that Dredge is too long in the middle, and that's exactly where I've stopped playing.
What do we know, though, Simon?
This game's too long in the middle. Oh, is it? It's okay. Steve, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
And tonight of all nights, the celebration launch night, or the last night before the game launches, depending on which way you look at it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go back and
much to do
carry on working on it.
Yeah. Well, from what I've seen, you don't need to. There's little elements of polish.
Exactly.
Not that it needs polish. I mean, it doesn't need a lot doing to it because it's all good.
Yeah, and strip out a couple of the crash bugs as well. And,
Exactly. Good luck. So yes, Beyond the Long Night is available on Steam and itch and all good PC retailers now.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to our radio show. Thank you to Resonance FM for hosting us. We will be back next week, won't we? We will be back next week.
I think next week is one of the few weeks without a bank holiday, so we will see you then.
All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.